There's been a few Lord of the Rings games recently, and, well, Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring, trick-taking game. Well, this is the new, rather snappy card game with a cooperative twist from Office Dog. Let's take a look, go over how the game plays, and I'll give you some pros and cons to let you know if it should be added to your collection. And just so you're aware, it was provided to me by Asmodee for the review. So in this cooperative quest across Middle-earth, you're going to be playing cards into tricks, trying to win them, trying to lose them, as iconic characters such as Frodo, Gandalf, Sam, Merry, Pippin, and even Farmer Maggot. Yet I hadn't heard of him either, but you're going to use these characters across 18 chapters, effectively 18 standalone games that you're going to play through and have different combinations of the characters that you start with and that you meet along the way. If you don't really know what I'm talking about when I say tricks, basically everyone's going to be playing a card into a trick, going clockwise around the table. You look at your hand of cards, you'll place something in, let's say it's a green forest card, well then everyone around the table, if they can, must follow with a forest card, and then whoever has the highest valued forest card wins the trick. If you don't have a forest card, you can discard anything into the trick, but it doesn't count as stronger than it. Once everyone's played a card into the middle, you determine who's won that trick, and then you start the next round off with that player playing a card to start the next trick off, and so on until, well, you've run out of cards or everyone has completed their missions and it's impossible for them to fail. The way the game works is you're going to shuffle the cards up and deal them equally to all players, and this is regardless if it's 2, 3 or 4 players, though at 2 you still effectively deal a third player in. We'll touch on that later. Once you've got your cards, you're going to look through them and see if you've got the One Ring, because if you do, that means you're going to be Frodo for this round. Then going clockwise around the table from that player, everyone else is going to pick their character, coming with maybe a little bit of setup, such as, oh, I get to exchange a card with Frodo, that sort of thing, and their own sort of victory condition. And this is a cooperative game, so all players around the table need to fulfill their victory condition for the group to win. If one player fails, they all fail. As to not spoil much of the game at all, I'm only going to talk about powers that come up in like game 1 and 2. So these victory conditions, it could be like Frodo's, which is win at least 4 of the 5 ring cards in tricks. It could be Gandalf's, which is win at least 1 trick, or maybe it's a little harder than that, Merry and Pippin's are. I always get the two of them muddled up, even card-wise. One is win the fewest tricks, and one is win 1 or 2. And in that case, if you won none, or 3 or more, you lose as a group. So you can see where you start coming in to want to win or lose tricks. If you have all successfully done your victory condition, well, you can go on to the next chapter, shuffling the cards up, going again with probably new characters and maybe new things introduced. If you've not, well, you can just shuffle up, put the characters back in the middle and try and replay that chapter for the win. So that is how you play, and as you go on you will be unlocking new characters and slightly new challenges to put sort of alongside and into that trick taking. So now, should you be getting it? What are the pros and cons of this one? Well, I am a fan of trick-taking games. Let's definitely start there. I think it's a really great core, and this game does it in a very pleasant way. I like the way the characters, it's very obvious, this is my character, this is, I get to, at the start of the game, swap a card with this player. That's a little bit of information that you can maybe pass over to them, that sort of thing. And also, this is my victory condition. It's really obvious. There have been sort of cooperative trick-taking games out there where it's sort of just thrown out, lots of stuff going on. But this one is very obvious. This is my victory condition. I've got to try and make sure this works while also helping my teammates achieve theirs. Of course, as you progress through the chapters, you get new characters, you meet new characters, they have new ways to win or lose those victory conditions, and that definitely keeps things interesting. People are obviously going to compare this to a similar game called The Crew, and I think those have a bit more variety. Every game you can have very different things going on, whereas this is a predefined thing. In this chapter you will be using these characters. However, you're going to play, if you replay it, you're going to play as different characters, with the fact that not every character is like you must play with these. There are often a few sort of extra floating roles. Different roles might get involved, so there is still definitely variety, and well, you kind of unlock the variety as you play. It's not just instantly there in the box. The variability is, however, still there at the end. Once you've played through the 18 chapters, well, not only is there a way to reset the box so you can do another journey in sort of the 18 chapter order, there is also a like forever mode where you take specific cards and effectively create a super mode that you are just able to carry on playing. If you really want, you could just everyone grab their favourite character and just go for a game that way. That box is there, you have all those cards, and whether you are resetting and going again or just continually playing as a fun trick-taking game with loads of characters, that's completely up to you, and it's certainly there and able to play. So not only do you get the variety unlocked as you go, all of that stuff is then available to you once you've finished it. A lot of Lord of the Rings fans are probably going to want to know, is this theme actually coming through? And it loosely comes through. It does feel quite pasted on, unfortunately. But let's put this into context. I have watched the films, but I've not read the books. I've read The Hobbit and watched the Hobbit films, but I've not read the actual Lord of the Rings books. So there was definitely characters that popped up and I was like, I'm not sure I actually remember them at all. And there's also plenty of characters that were cool, were iconic, and when you meet them in the game, it's like, yay, this character has come out. Some of them do make sense, like Frodo wants the ring cards. Then it starts to get a bit more tenuous, like, yes, Gandalf's ability. Again, it's like one of the characters from the first game, so I'm not spoiling anything from later on. His ability is just you get that lost card, the one you shuffle out at the very start when you're doing setup. He gets an additional card. He's a wizard. He gets a bit of extra information, an extra card. It kind of makes some sense. That's about sort of where it goes to. Each chapter has a little bit of text sort of introducing part of the quest that's gone on, and that's about it. It's not a strongly themed experience here. You're not really feeling like, yes, I am Frodo. It's more, I'm Frodo and I've got this sort of victory condition. It's just a kind of nice theme to look at least. And, well, that's a good place to then jump onto. I rather like the appearance. It does have a couple of issues though. I do like the visual style. I think it's a stunning style. It looks really nice. Like the sort of almost stained glassy appearance that sort of follows onto the very nice shiny box, which is also produced really nice with these little like felt tabs to pick the cards up. All of that is done really nice, but there have been a couple of oversights. For instance, I don't like the font that they use for Hill. Hills doesn't look like it says Hills. That is something you can overlook. One thing I can't overlook is that the numbers on the cards are only in one corner. In a lot of playing cards, card games, if you're holding a card and you flip it up the other way, you'll still be able to know exactly what card it is. This is the 7 Forest card. I flip it over, there's no number. I can still tell it's a Forest card because it's green and it's got that artwork, but I can't actually tell what number it is, which means you do have to rotate all the cards in your hand. It's just a really small thing, but I don't understand why they haven't just put like the 7 in opposite corners, because it's just a nicety that most card games like this do. Earlier I did mention I'd touch on the 2-player side of things, and in this you're basically set up for a 3-player game, and then once you've dealt the cards out, the sort of 3rd player gets dealt in a sort of pyramid of cards. Think a 7 Wonders duel sort of pyramid that you're going to be taking cards from and adding into tricks. Effectively, one player will be managing that pyramid of cards, some which are face down so you don't know what they are, some which are face up so you can glean some information. I actually found that the 2-player game was therefore a little bit easier than a 3-player game because you have a little bit more information. And certainly if a sort of good trick-taking game player plays that as sort of their hand and that sort of market of cards that is the sort of dummy third player, it does mean you can line yourself up or line it up very nicely, not caring what the sort of actual other player around the table does. That's going to be really good for fans of trick-taking games. Probably not so good if you're two brand new players to trick-taking though. So just something to bear in mind there, that if you are playing at two, you do need one player to sort of almost do 1.5 players' work. So overall, if you're a Lord of the Rings fan, you might be a little let down by the fact that it's not full on theme, but if you're a trick-taking fan, this is definitely one you will enjoy. I like sort of the cooperative twists that have been going on in trick-taking, and this is a really nice way of doing it. Every game you've got certain characters that are going to be picked, and you're going to slowly unlock more characters and a little bit extra stuff as you go through the box. I really like that progression. I like the fact that it does keep the game fresh, even if sometimes you hit a level and you're like, God, this is really hard, and you struggle to get past it, but eventually you do, and then you get that little sweet buzz of unlocking some new content for the next game. I like all that, and I can generally recommend you definitely playing this one. It will be at UK Games Expo, for instance. I'm sure it will be at the likes of Gen Con and PAX East and all those sort of ones, and Origins, which is coming soon. So definitely give this one a go if you are a fan of trick-taking. Hopefully this review has helped you know if Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring, trick-taking game, which has a really long name, is a game that should be added to your collection. Definitely going to be staying on the shelf as we play through again. We sort of, you can like I said, you reset, play again. We are going through again with a sort of a different sized group now, so really enjoying that. But let me know in the comment section below, A, your favourite Lord of the Rings character, and B, if you've played this game, what you thought of it. And until next time, have a lordly good day gaming.